Hey guys, we're live here with the man, the myth, the legend, Luke Redhead, and of course the main man, Mark Ramsey. Um,
Evening, guys.
so, so this is going to be an action-packed, value-packed session. I just got off a chat with Luke. We hit it off. He's a great guy. Um, and he's going to let us in on a couple of secrets, and he's going to give us some freebies today.
Yeah,
Um,
sure am.
and it's going to be mind blowing. If you don't know Luke Redhead, follow him right now. He is absolutely one of the upcoming stars and is a star on LinkedIn right now with his content, getting inbound leads. He He let me know that he's working 40 hours plus coaching clients on LinkedIn and doing tasks for his business. To have that type of demand in your business is absolutely mind blowing. And he's going to dissect, he's going to give us value, he's going to give us value on how to get those inbound leads, like he's doing it every day on LinkedIn, and principally how to construct a post and actually give us a rundown of his top performing posts and the secrets to why they did so well. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Again, Luke, if you want to give us a little bit of background, a little bit about your story, and what you do to help your clients.
Yeah, with pleasure. Thank you. So a little bit of background to kind of my story. I started this journey a couple of years ago. Very similar to a lot of people. I was working at the time. I needed some extra money, so I started writing, and that's how I got stuck in with it. Um, I started writing on Fiverr originally, and I went from writing on Fiverr to writing on on all sorts of different social platforms. Just a personal choice. I decided to move away and build the business elsewhere, and that's where I hit my first of many hurdles. And I ended up having a lot of different, a lot of different challenges along the way. As I moved away from it. So, things like, I didn't have a clear offer, which doesn't help. I didn't have the great, social credibility at the time, and I was just trying everything I could. And for nearly 2 years, it just felt like everything I tried just didn't work. Um, and without going into all the details of the kind of milestones along the way, got to the beginning of this year and I made a very, very big, very brave decision. I decided that I was just going to give up on everything I'd done already. 2 years of building out these processes, these maps, these journeys, these ideas, um, and I literally had to go Control A, delete, and get rid of them. And I just started completely from fresh and just went, you know what? 2023, I'm going to make this, this is going to be the year. I've said it the past 2 years. It's not happened. This is going to be different. So, yeah, deleted all the stuff I'd worked on before and gave up on 2 years of working on this business. And the idea was I was just going to get onto LinkedIn, just LinkedIn, give up on all the other platforms, all the audiences I built there as well, and just deliver value as much as I can and just see what happens. If it doesn't work in 6 months, if I don't get anything, fine. It's not for me. I've tried. The universe doesn't want it. And that was kind of my mentality. But yeah, and I just went on and I just thought I'll just give as much away as I can. I don't really know the offer that well. At the time I was trying to do ghostwriting, and I just thought I'm just going to do as much as I can give away and just try all the things I've put off in the last 2 years. So at the beginning of this year, I just went all in with just personal stories. I've got 2 years of failures here. I can help some people prevent some of those. Give some of the lessons learned. I'll just share those. And they did quite well. I thought, actually, this is quite cool here. Yeah, this is
Wow.
finally something works. So I went from doing, kind of the personal story side, and I thought this is cool. I'm gonna, getting an idea of LinkedIn now, the strategy and everything. It's working. I'm meeting people. I'm having conversations and stuff. I thought, why not get a handful of people and just teach them as well? So I did that. I launched my first accelerator. It was the comment to call accelerator, designed to help people go from getting comments on their posts to booking calls with them. Was the idea. Yeah, and I got a couple of people on there. We worked together over 8 weeks, did a program with them, and that completely changed my outlook on the business and made me realize actually I love LinkedIn, I love writing and stuff, but the thing that just trumped all of that was just this working almost one-on-one with people and helping them. So I actually said to them all, I said, what do you think? I'll give you a month, literally a month free, one-to-one coaching. I want to test it out, see if it's for me. What do you guys think? And they all said, yeah, let's do it. So that was my introduction to the world of coaching. And then, yeah, ever since then, it's just been experiment, test, give the outcome. Did it work? Yeah, great. Here's something that works. Go and use it. Oh, that didn't work. Right. Here's what not to do. Here's why it doesn't work. Here's the lesson I learned. And that's just kind of formed my my strategy now. It's just give as much as I can and share as much as I can along the way. And yeah, it's working, which is nice. So yeah.
Wow. Amazing. If you haven't gone to Luke's post, he gets hundreds of comments each post. I know engagement. People say engagement is well isn't a good measure, but it is primarily if you get engagement from supporters and from your niche. And obviously, you're really moving mountains here on LinkedIn with your engagement, and it's really great to see someone like you on LinkedIn just giving everything away.
Thank you.
Because really the initial reaction is like, oh, what happens if I give everything away, right? But
Yeah,
then,
that
but
was that was me. And
exactly,
that's why, that's why I say for 2 years, this thing just didn't work. And it was that cage mentality of, I'll give some of it away and then they can pay for the rest. Well,
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
exactly.
Give everything away, tell them what to do, show them it all. Because all you're going to do is two things. You're going to prove you know your stuff and that they can go away and implement it and they can literally see it work firsthand. And then two, you're just going to, you're just going to prove your worth over and over. So yeah,
Wonderful, man. Wonderful.
give it
Awesome.
away, definitely.
Awesome. Okay, Mark, did you have a question or two?
Yeah, like something to add to that about the giveaway. So how does that manage with the time? So the business owner doesn't have the time. So by you giving all that information and telling them how much they have to do, how do you feel that obviously helps that person on the other end of that sales process?
Definitely. Yeah. The truth is, and I've seen a couple of other, really cool people on LinkedIn say very similar. You can give as much away as you want, and you can literally go, look, here's the exact strategy to master LinkedIn, to do whatever. People will go, yeah, this is great. And it feels good because suddenly it feels like there's a door that's unlocked. They've got something they can do, something they can try. Do they? Often people actually don't go and do it. They'll save it for later and then it gets buried and then they miss it. Or, they go, oh yeah, that's amazing. I'll save that. I'll come back to it. And then they get distracted or busy, or they just can't find the time. So, in that instance there, you've really, you've very, very strongly proven that there is an opportunity, a way of doing it. They can see how it's going to work, how that opportunity can unfold. If they don't have the time to do it, who's going to be better to help them other than the person who showed them it in the first place? So yeah, all it does is strengthens that journey, definitely.
And
Exactly.
one more, if I can follow up on that, how would you showcase that in a post? Try and get that across in a post, like a hand raiser sales post.
How do you mean? So when you say to share that?
So if I was to try and say, okay, you don't have time, I have this, I have that, you can achieve this. How would you put that into a creative post for someone to onlook and then come in to have a conversation regarding buying that product
I
or
mean,
service?
there's loads of ways you can angle, kind of that end point, really. For me, one of the most effective ways I've seen that works well is the power of storytelling, which, everyone seems to say at the minute, but there's a reason it works. So if you can hook someone into this story of, imagine imagine you're getting 10 leads a week, for example. You go, oh, okay, that's a nice thing to imagine. And then you paint this picture of this story that you bring people into, and they go, this is a great, I wish this was me. When they get through that story, when they get the emotions building up that they want this thing, they're feeling the frustration that they don't have it, they're feeling the excitement that they could have it. That's the moment there where that call to action is that next step. So, whether that next step, say, lead magnet just to get a conversation going, whether that's to book a call directly, there's loads of different directions you can go in. But yeah, that's arguably one of my favorites and one of the most effective ways to do it.
Wow.
Nice.
Really, really amazing. Really, really. Okay, so for the 10 people watching, please let us know that you're here. Number one. Please let us know if you're resonating with this. Number two. And just tell us where you're from. Number three. So please comment down below for the 10 people who are watching right now. So, Luke, let's just get right into it. Okay, so Luke is a master level creator. We all know that. It's a well established norm across LinkedIn. Okay, so Luke had the generosity to prepare some information for us, which he's going to share on the screen. And of course, I'll let him explain it because he's the one who can best explain it. So, what things did you have prepared for us today, Luke?
Yeah, I've got. It's nothing very special. It's just a browser with three LinkedIn tabs open, but it's three very different kind of posts of mine that I've done. So I've got my best performing post ever in terms of results. Be it in terms of impressions, engagement, and things, but also in terms of lead gen as well as a result, and I'll explain that later. I've got a kind of social proof one, which, as I just explained to you, Mark, the whole storytelling side of things, weaving that in there. And then I've got another one, which is, an analytical kind of one, which is a type of I'm really enjoying at the minute, and it works nicely. It's all about, for me, it's just painting this picture, of a situation. Same as with the story. It's just a slightly different angle on that as well. So yeah, so I've got those three as well. Any preference where I'll start?
Well, you can. How about your top performing posts first?
Yeah, good job.
And then we'll work.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with that.
Cool, awesome. Right, let me just figure out how to share my screen. Bear with me a sec. It should.
Okay, just let me put it up here. There you go.
Yeah, can you see that one?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let me close my messages. I've been. See, that's how prepared I am. Yeah, let me expand it a little bit for you. So, if you can see that there. So this is my top performing post ever. If I scroll down and just show you some of the numbers on here, it got over 400 reactions on it.
Wow.
About 350 comments on it, but it reached nearly 36,000 people on it as well.
Wow.
So
wow.
Big numbers, which is cool.
Amazing.
It's a football stadium, guys.
It's actually this was a racetrack. This one, but do you know what? Every time I've looked at my analytics, I've always looked at this post and gone, there was no reason for that picture specifically. I just thought it was a cool picture. Just added it on, but yes. So this post here, the whole idea of this post when I wrote it originally was I wanted to just share and highlight one of the biggest, mistakes that I've made and help people to not make that mistake. So in essence, I broke it out into three kind of mini segments of posts. So, if you think of like a Twitter thread, you kind of have one tweet and then a sub tweet and then another one underneath, breaking it out that way. that was kind of what these gaps were here, was just to kind of keep that suspense going and keep it flowing through to the next. So in this section here, it was all about, here's the mistake I made. Simple as that. Here's what I did about it. And here's the, and the outcome of it. Here's a message that I want you to take away from it. Really was as simple as that. And as broken out as explained there. So yeah, that was essentially what the post was. So as I've mentioned, as I talk about quite a lot on LinkedIn, one of the biggest and best things that I invested a lot of my time in was learning how to write better hooks. Hooks being that very beginning point of your post, that first sentence. Reason being is they grab attention, they get people in, they get people, intrigued, they want to learn more, they want to read, so they go ahead and they do that. So on this one, very simple. It was, I spent 2 years struggling to sign clients, and it was because of this one mistake. So in my head, as I wrote that, I wanted people to go, actually, what was that mistake? I need to learn so I don't spend 2 years struggling as well. So, very, very simple psychology there behind that. And then literally just dive straight into it. I see it quite a lot, and I was very, very guilty of this for a long time, which is partly why posts of mine didn't work in the early days, is when you're writing a post, going straight into that hook and that promise is very important. It's not like for example, like a YouTube video or something where you have a long intro and you can add all these bits and bobs into it. People are really quick nowadays with what they read and what they don't. So if your hook's 2 lines long, great, fine. Straight into that key point there. So I could literally have taken this post and I could have literally just stopped there. That is the point of the post. That's the mistake I made. I was scared to put myself out there. So you can go, actually, great. I put myself out there. Boom, I won't struggle to sign clients. Point taken, move on. But obviously expanding on that. So, giving examples. So I, said about how I was just sharing safe content. So, generic LinkedIn tips, plain content, very little personality. Outcome was I signed less than 5 clients in 2 years. Obviously, not sustainable business, not something people want. So again, psychology of the post, by the end of this section, people are starting to think, actually, great, I know what not to do. What do I do? How do I fix this? And that's where this is, where I came in. So, very similar to the story I shared at the beginning of this session. In January, I just scrapped everything I was doing. I just went all in with this, new mantra of sharing personal stories, sharing my opinion, and just building a reputation for something. Completely, as I say, went outside my comfort zone, and for a little while, it felt like a bit of an out-of-body experience. Of I was doing things that felt completely unnatural. I felt completely, outside of what I was used to. But it worked, and as I say, it turned out better than expected. So, in this post here, here's the mistake I've made. Here's the situation now. And then just to summarize it very, very simply, don't be afraid to get out there, go and inspire people, share advice. Your message is what they need. So for me, very, very simply put, every post is in 3 parts. You've got your hook straight at the top. That's job there is just to drive attention, just to give a promise to people that they're going to get something out of it. Once they've got that promise, deliver on it. Give them that promise. Give them that thing that they're wanting to see because they're reading. And then your ending of it can be a call to action. It can be a call to value. It can be whatever. But it's got to be a very strong, lasting impression. So in this instance here, it starts off with a hook of, Luke made a major mistake and it cost 2 years of his business. So I don't want to make that. They read it, they see what a mistake I made, they see what I did to fix that. And then there's the moral of the story at the end. And they got that strong takeaway of, don't be afraid to get out there. Actually, that makes sense. Cool. So that's essentially, that, as I say, that's my best performing post to date. It's it also went on to do well in terms of, as I can see, you got the PS and the PPS. I used to do that on every post. I've reformatted it now slightly, but because of the amount of reach that got, this call to action here to get some post templates, that did really well. So I got quite a few people signed up to my email list from it. And a lot of people had reached out, from the back of this and said, actually, I saw this post, I saw your story of what you did. You figured out what to do. I'm struggling now. I want to be where you were, did what you did. Any chance you can help, sort of thing, So yeah. So in terms of the post performance, numbers, results, business, you name it, this did really well for me.
Wow, just like mind blowing. Just like our minds are blown right now. It's just like amazing, man.
For sure.
Truly incredible what you've accomplished for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
With that post, Luke, quick question if that's okay. With that post, do you think it was anything to do with how you have formatted that post and the way you've copyrighted that would really impact those impressions that particular post got as well?
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's something I'm very big on. I'm glad you brought that up because clearly I'm not that big on it because I forgot to mention it. but no, formatting is a massive thing. Absolutely. So, if you look at this, there's each section here conveniently is very, very similar in a certain way. So, you've got the key hook up here, which is a bit a longer sentence than the rest, but every other sentence doesn't wrap around to the next line. It's a single sentence that stays there. As soon as you've got that wrap around to that next line, it just bunches up ever so slightly here. So you can see how those two lines are bunched up versus those two, and it just makes that skimmableness of the post, if that's a word, probably not, but that, skimmability is just completely, reduced massively when it's bunched together like that. So absolutely agree on that point. The other thing I like to do is something I call broken sentences. So, I did it twice in this post here. So I lived on the fence, sharing safe content such as, now I could have written generic LinkedIn tips, comma, plain content, comma, and very little personality. It wouldn't have had anywhere near the same effect and drive as having it as those 3 bullet points. And part of the reason is that people's eyes naturally are drawn towards bullet points and numbers and symbols and things like that. So, when people first look at this post, typically their eyes will be drawn up here. They'll see 2 years struggling, 1 major mistake, because there's 2 numbers there. And they're the first kind of things they'll see. So the gist of the whole hook is there already when they skim it. Great. They open it up. The eyes will be drawn to these arrows here and these bullet points. They'll read these bits first and they'll say, oh, why is he talking about that? Then, maybe go up to read this bit here, or they'll skim back down and then they'll read these bullet points. And then ideally they'd read this bullet point as well. So if you took this post, deleted everything bar the numbers and the symbols in it, all you're left with is 2 years struggling, 1 major mistake, those 3 bullet points there, obviously the mistake, those 3 bullet points there, the solution, and then the key takeaway. So the entire post is actually in about 15, 20 words just based on that bit. And that's kind of how, one of the reasons I think this post did so well was because it was so easy for people to skim read, but still see what I was talking about. So yeah,
Incredible.
definitely formatting, massive thing.
100%, my friend. Wow, that's amazing. So just key points to remember, right? Just put everything into LinkedIn, right? Second, of course, with your goals in mind. Everybody has different goals, but I agree 100% with your mission. Put everything into LinkedIn. Second, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Third, Your posts have to have some key elements of storytelling in there, showing emotion. And fourth, make sure your content is formatted correctly for skimmability.
Yeah, I'd add number 5, probably using bullet points and numbers as
Yeah,
well in there in your
exactly.
posts.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely agree.
Yeah, absolutely mind blowing. So, you have like another post
Yeah,
in
two
terms
more.
of okay,
So here, this one again. This one's a story post. This one shared 6 months ago. Again, I'll jump down. You can see this one's a bit longer, but there's more to it. You can see this one did well. Obviously, not as well as the other one, but it still reached nearly 14,200, nearly 200 there as well. And when I say 200, nearly 200, obviously it's nice, from the kind of ego perspective. You go, oh my god, people love it. I'm famous. It does have that kind of feeling. But for me, I always look at that and I go, there's 225 people there, just like me, have gone on LinkedIn, they've logged in, and they have seen this post, they've read this post, and they've taken the time to engage and say, actually, yeah, that was good. Thanks, I like that. So for
100%.
me, 200, yeah, there's people get thousands of likes, fine. 200, imagine 10 people walking up to you in the street and going, hey, I saw your post on LinkedIn, I loved it. You'd be hyped for the rest of the week. You'd love it. And that's what those numbers, for me, that's what they mean. So massive lesson there, definitely. Yeah, big one. But yeah, so reason I put a picture against this one here was, again, just because for me this is a personal kind of story, and I wanted, I always try to use, I always try and put a kind of an insight into my personal life when I'm doing a post that has an insight into my personal life in some capacity. So this one was a story about how I signed a new client. So, slightly differently to the mistake from before, where it's a lesson I'd learned. This is something that's gone well, and here's how I did it, a strategy one. But it's also great social proof. It shows that I know how to do this stuff. So, if you need help with it, hey, I proved I could do it. You're one message away, and we can start doing it. So that's kind of the angle that this one then focused on. So again, Mark, back to your question earlier about the sales content, the whole point about the sales bit, there's very, very little here that sells, but there's a lot that gives away that value. So
Absolutely.
that's the whole point of this one here. So just to kind of dissect this one again, just because this one's a bit longer, I'll whiz through it a bit quicker. But again, powerful hook again, numbers, for me, some of the big things that people look at in hooks, numbers is one, symbols is one, emotion is a very big one, and target audience is one as well, and time frames and dates as well. They're also very, very strong. There is a sixth one, and I've got it in one of my resources, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But we'll stick with 5. But putting those into this hook here, last week, again, people think, I don't want to miss out. This happened last week. I want to stay in the know. What's going, what happened last week, So has a little grab there. I signed a new client, emotion. I want to sign clients. How did he do it? Worth roughly 3K. Wow, I really want to sign clients like that. Everyone does in just 2 calls that easily. Yeah, I need to learn how to do this. That's really cool. So taking each part of that hook aside, every kind of block of it just builds on that kind of excitement, that want, that emotion. And then I basically summarized the entire journey in a very, very simple way. So, again, if you take this, last week I signed a new client, here's the 2 calls. It looks easy, but here's everything else that happened. But I've told you exactly what happened. I had a call with them. We spoke to them. We had another call. They signed up. There you are. Story done. But it's never that easy. So that's where we go into a little bit more. Now, again, formatting is a big thing here as well. So because it's quite a long one, I broke it out into different sections. So 12 weeks ago, here was the situation, where we were with them. And then after that point, we had a catch up. Here was the situation there. Here was the conversations that I had. Here was what I did to get to that point as well. And then the takeaway at the end of that post as well. So again, just story, start to finish. Here's what I did. Here's the key bits all the way through. Here's that end result that that I got from it there. But yeah, very similar to the last one in terms of the feel, the look of the post. It's still me telling a story. It's still me showing something that's personally happened. It's still all the same stuff. But on this instance now, it's social proof as of the, I suppose the last one was kind of social proof, but this is more business focused now. So, it's got more of a trust and a nurture perspective from that angle as well. So yeah, slightly different angle, but very, very similar approach.
Wow. I mean, the value here is like mind blowing. I think Mark just is having some trouble, maybe, but yeah, just like awesome value here, man. And we got some comments here from Kevin. Super so sorry to hear this, Kevin. And
Good start.
Shmriti Sharma, this is great, Luke. Okay, that's good.
Oh,
So
thank you.
Shrimir, I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. Shri Smriti. Tell us why you like it. And we have good old Stephen Boyle. It says, I'm sorry late, but I will also cast a replay. Hi, Stephen. How are you?
Hello.
That's great. Stephen is also from the UK, and he's a ghostwriter, so that's good. I do have a question here, Luke, but I don't see it here. I don't know why it's not showing up. So here, I'll just look it up here. It says, this is from Vanessa. She says, what types of posts get the most engagements, in your opinion? Um, Perhaps polls or reshare from other influencers, or oh, so what do you think about that?
Uh, I mean, from my perspective, in terms of what gets the most engagement, I'd say anything can. Typically stories and personal stories do well in terms of
Yeah,
that purely because of the relatability there, and they
yeah,
are able, they can convey that kind of strong emotional connection, which is why people engage with them. But any post has potential, and that's something I always say to the clients I work with. It's not always just about that engagement point. As nice
yeah,
as it is, and as much as it's great to have, and if you reach 10 people, you reach 10,000 people, yes, your chances at 10,000 people are improved at getting a lead, obviously. But
yeah.
you know, but how
Awesome.
can you, if you reach 10, how can you make those 10 people's lives a little bit better? Is the kind of
Exactly.
mentality there. So
Exactly. It's all about that. So I mean, I see from different creators there's like a war going on. Well, not a war, but sort of like a battle. Like people say, "Oh, likes don't matter," and then people say, "Likes do matter." My opinion is to maintain a balance, right? So, what is your opinion about that?
yeah, I think, and I'm going from memory here, but I'm pretty sure it was Taslim did a post on this not long ago, and I think he summarised this absolutely perfectly. And he said that they do matter, but within reason. So for me, I typically look at, I've got all sorts of stats and things, and if I'm looking at posts, if I've got two posts that have both got, let's just say 5,000 impressions each, but one's got twice as much engagement, well, I know that people preferred the one that got twice as much engagement. So, by some logic there, I can say actually people prefer that. Maybe it was a style, maybe it was a format, maybe it was a topic. it gives me some guidance towards what people enjoy more of, so that I
Yeah,
can guide that.
exactly.
Um, so
That's
yeah,
good. Yeah, very good. So in terms of repurposing, there's many there are many people say that repurposing is awesome. Of course, like I even repurpose posts, and I think everyone does. So any specific um tips and tricks on like repurposing content and like tell us your thought process. Is it only based on stats, or is it based on the amount of leads that you got? And a very critical question, I think, is how long. Many people say how long a post how old a post needs to be in order to repurpose it.
yeah. Repurposing, definitely, definitely great. The whole idea, I struggled with the whole idea of writing something new every time. A couple of months into the journey, I felt like I'd written everything there was. So I was like, oh, I've put it all. What do I talk about now? So the whole idea of repurposing just helps you stay consistent, and it's good. The way I always look at it is, I tend to look at posts, and repurpose them for two reasons. First one being, is this a post that I know, that did well? Did it get me lots of leads, or did it engagement or whatever? Great. I know that this topic or format or whatever it might be has got power to do well here, and help people. So I can leverage that and repurpose that into maybe a personal story, or into a how I based post, or whatever. I could do it all in that sense. On the flip side, if a post didn't do well, a lot of people go, that didn't work. Right, I'm not doing that again. I always find those posts really interesting to see actually what happened with them, because it might be that it was just the hook wasn't great, but the actual message was really strong. So in actual fact, you've got a post that's 90% really good, and just one small bit needs a tweak. So you could just play with it. If it doesn't do well, the mentality I have is, if something doesn't do well, nobody sees it, so it doesn't matter. And if it does well, everyone sees it and they see it doing well. So it's, both ways are a win. Both ways you walk away with data that you can use.
So like my initial fear, well, of course, like when starting LinkedIn about 3 years ago, and like actually some of my clients have this problem. I know if your clients have it too. When they feel like if they repurpose, they people are going to get the same information, and oh, I already read this already, and then move on. So 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 what specific tips or what do you have to say to them that feel this way and don't like don't create new posts, but don't create posts because they don't want to repurpose?
Yeah. If you've got a post that's done well, let's just say, and you want to repurpose it, but you don't want to feel like you're sharing the same thing again, take it a step further back. I always, is the best way to explain it here. So you've got a post, let's just say it's a, um, you know, 7 reasons why LinkedIn is the place to grow your business. Terrible hook, but we'll go with it. And let's just say it did well, and you go, great, I'm going to repurpose this thing. Rather than doing another 9 reasons why, actually pick 2 or 3 points, or even just one of them, and repurpose that part of it into a personal story, and share your experience of it. Or even just, I started on posting on LinkedIn, 6 months ago. Here's 9 things I found. And now you've got a completely different angle entirely from that original post. So you've got that same mentality, that same logic that you had before. The same message is there, but you've taken it in such a completely different direction that it completely feels completely different. It's like going on holiday. You can go by plane, you can go by boat, you can go by train, you can go in a car.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
4 journeys feel completely different. All 4
yeah,
can take you to the same place.
yeah.
So That's the way.
Definitely massively done. And like I always tell my clients also, like, oh, people forget all the time. I mean, it's like it's like I generally really like repurpose every 2 or 3 months. I pick and post, and so the same people that commented on my post 2 or 3 months ago are commenting on my post. Oh, this is great. This is great information. It's brand new. Blah, blah. And so people like tend to forget.
Yeah, yeah.
We do have a question here from Schmitty. So, how do you ensure that you get inbound leads? Yeah, this is a good question. Me,
Mm.
sometimes it's a hit, miss, or hit, but I can't pinpoint what worked and what didn't. How do you deal with that, Luke?
Uh, it's a very good question. So, in terms of getting inbound leads, it's kind of the dream, isn't it, of every business. When you say it, obviously, sometimes it's a miss, sometimes it's a hit. If you've got posts and you got actually that post brought in leads, great. You know, try and get into the detail of why it did. Whether it was you had a really strong message that encouraged, leads come in, whether you had a really good call to action or call to value. you know what was it that that you can find that made them come in? Very easy way of doing it is just ask the people that did and just say thanks. Thanks for reaching out. If you don't mind, what made you want to reach out? And get the actual answer
Oh,
from them.
good, very good.
But in terms of for me, in terms of getting inbound leads, you know I always explain this to people in a way, a little bit like a bit like you're learning to climb Mount Everest. So you've got the base of the mountain, you've got the summit here where they're a client. Nobody's going to go from zero on a pogo stick and just jump the whole way to the top. Especially if you're selling these higher ticket offers. There's base camps, there's steps to go through to get there. So for me, how can I get people from the bottom of the mountain to that first base camp? Whether that's join my email list, or whether that's to get a lead magnet, or whatever it is. How can I get people to do that next step? Once you get them to take that first next step, then what's the next step after that? And then the next step after that, and the next step after that. And that's the journey, just to make it as smooth and easy as it can be there. So, yeah, in terms of how I pinpoint what works in terms of inbound leads, the honest answer is I don't think there's actually 100% way of ever fully knowing what post is going to perform well or what's going to get leads and what's not. You'll see a lot of people say it. They'll put a post out there. They'll think, yeah, this is the one. This is going to do amazing. I'm going to get loads of leads from it, and it just flops. And they throw together a post in 5 minutes and go, oh, that'll do. Fine, whatever. And then it's one of the best posts that they have, and it brings in the most leads. So even the best people get surprised with this stuff as well. But yeah, ultimately, I'd say, to summarize all of that, if you can make that first step really easy, great. And then for those who take that first step, or those who reach out, why? Try and find out what that thing was that made them want to take that step, and just ask them and talk to them and see. Most people are more than happy to tell you anyway, and that's a really strong way.
Exactly. Yeah, especially like with inbound leads, if you're not getting constant results, it's kind of like finding out the right strategy, and sometimes and doubling down on it. Like going in that direction, experimenting, and of course, the number one factor that gets me inbound leads is my brand voice, keeping it unique, keeping it fresh. And if people are not attracted to my brand voice, well, I don't care. But people who are in my DMs asking about my services. And so along with that, Luke, like, how do you ensure um well, actually, two questions. I want to get into AI a little bit,
Cool. Yeah.
um, and also I just this other question. So like, how do you really make sure that you keep all of your posts fresh, in line with what your profile says, and that's really screaming, "I am Luke Redhead."
Hmm.
How do you do that?
So a couple of thoughts here on that one. Firstly, is my profile is review it relatively often. I try not to look at it too much and let it do its thing and see what works, but I do review it relatively often. Um, Partly because I want to make sure that it takes you to that next step, that first base camp, as easily as it can, and partly because I want to make sure that the profile is a landing page, but a landing page reflective of me. So it's not just, here's this offer, go and get this thing. It's, hey, this is me, and here's how I can help you. Let's have a
Yeah.
chat or whatever, just
Yeah.
to try and keep it as centralized as I can.
Yeah.
Then when it comes to the content side of things, the more I share, in a natural way, so that the personal stories and things like that, obviously I always, especially now more than ever, hopefully notice there's a lot of effort in the formatting and making the actual post look nice, but the actual words are the same way that I would think to myself, and they're written in a very similar way that I would write an email, or in the same way that, to some extent, I would send a text to a friend. It's me saying the stuff. It's not just, written in a way that I'm told works and stuff. It's what I would say formatted nicely in a way that's easy to read. So yeah, in terms of keeping it all on brand, if you can make the whole personal brand side as naturally personal as you can,
Yeah.
it's really easy to stay on brand. It's
Yeah.
really easy to overthink it, which is
Yeah.
another problem entirely.
Yeah.
But it makes it really easy to stay on brand.
And, and I find that a lot of people with this, like just like analyzing, like right now, I can tell if a post got inbound leads or well, it's like you said, it's hard, right? But generally, like looking at people's content and reviewing it, you can really tell if that person is doing well on LinkedIn. Generally, of
Mm.
course, it's hit and miss with every person. So in terms of that, like in terms of getting inbound leads, in terms of doing well on LinkedIn, like what advice you give your clients, let's say if they want to construct a storytelling post like that really impacts people.
Yeah. First thing would be is focus on what the outcome of that post is. You know, it's very easy to go, I'm going to write a personal story and share something that people are going to like, but what's actually the point? You know, I mean, what's the point of doing any of this, really? Is a big question. So when you start to think deep into that, what is that? What is the point of this post? Oh, I want to build trust with my audience. I want them to see me on a more personal level. Right, great. There's our angle. Then we're going to make sure we show that. Um, and if they have a topic in mind, then great. If not, it's well, very simply, do you want it to be a positive, a negative, or both? Everything's got kind of emotion wise is bucketed into one of those two areas. So if it's in a negative sense, it's you know here's one mistake that I made and I struggled to sign clients with. I don't want to do that. That's something I want to avoid. I don't like that. Great negative emotion there. They want to avoid it.
Mhm.
Alternatively, I fixed this one mistake and I signed more clients than I have in the last 2 years. What was the what's the solution? What did he fix? Now it's a
Yeah.
positive spin on it. So if it's a negative thing, make that hurt emotion there really strong and make people want to avoid it, and then just share the story as you feel it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
post that I
that's
shared
great.
earlier
Yep.
hurt me a lot. It was a very strong, very very strong thing for me. I had a business that failed for 2 years. It was hard, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That I mean, great, great, great. So in terms of like, there's a line, right? And I see it all the time. People share their story, share too much information, but then they don't relate it back to their business. right?
Mm.
And it gets tons of engagement, but it doesn't really get the results that they want, right? Of that, maybe building trust. So, like, what are your main tips on like sharing personal information? How much information is too much information?
Uh, I mean, it's if you go into the level of sharing, how often you go to the bathroom, unless you're like a health person or whatever, within reason, obviously you might find it's a good thing to share, but typically it's probably not,
Uh,
But yeah, yeah, I think it's a very good point you raised there that people do put, I did it as well at one point. Is you kind of just share these personal stories just to share them. But if you can share them that relate back to your business in some way, it doesn't have to be back to your services at all. But you know, I shared a very personal story about how I struggled with signing clients, and it was a personal thing of mine, a mistake I had made. I've shared personal stories about it was a time 6-7 years ago. I got pulled into my manager's office at the time because of my use of exclamation marks in emails. I was a young, excited person, and I was like excited. I was like, "Yeah, let's do it!" Exclamation mark. And this other person thought I was shouting over email and things. So I shared my opinion and viewpoint on that, and how that affected me. Again, it's that end point. What do you want to get out of it? So in that instance, for me, it was I wanted to show that I've made mistakes in writing before, and it's okay. It happens. I wanted to build trust that it's a journey that we're on together, and I'm learning as much as everyone else. And I wanted people to see a bit more background to the kind of things that I've been through and done. So I'm not just this guy on LinkedIn who posts and has a profile picture in front of a laptop or whatever the profile picture will be. It's this person who's been through this journey and he's had these conversations, he's had these experiences and things. So yeah, it's not necessarily about having too much or your story's not relating back to your business, but it's about that end goal. What do you want out of it? Really, I think is the key bit. If you
yeah.
can get that right, then these stories are going to have that intended effect, whether it reaches 10 or 10 million.
Wow. And that's a really great attitude to have, and really, really. So I want to thank you, Luke. It was super delightful. And for the 10 or 11 people watching, let us know what you think. Okay, so we have another question. Just this is going to be the last one, probably. It says LinkedIn is changing echo chambers. Well, how do you ensure to keep the content unique and stand out?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying similar stuff, and I think it's for me, it comes down to what is the reason you logged on to LinkedIn and clicked post for the first time, So for me, I went, if I cast my kind of mind back to January, it was I went on to here because I wanted to help, as many people as I can. I wanted to improve my own writing, my own experience. I wanted to build a reputation, build a brand, doing all of that through helping others. So that was my motive and my incentive. Now, when you get clear on that and when you get clear on your content pillars and what it is that you want to be known for, it becomes quite easy to avoid getting pulled, basically a bit like a content magnet. It's very easy when especially when you're new to LinkedIn and you see a post that does well and you think, oh, I should be posting that. Oh, well, I need to write a post like that. It's a style that's completely not me, and maybe that's where I'm going wrong. But really, if you play the long game, keep that mission in mind, set those content pillars of what it is you want to be known for, and just keep as true to yourself as you can. Test different content styles. I've tested hundreds of posts. I found 10, 15 kind of styles of, posts that for me feel the most natural. And I just keep using those styles because for me, they're the easiest to write. They're the ones that people relate to the most. They're the ones that, my audience typically engage with the most. I still test ones now, but but I'm more clear now than before. So for me, if I see a post, I think, oh, that's a very different post to my sort of style. Good for them. Nice,
Yeah.
I like it. It's different. It's cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also, can I
Yeah.
be inspired by this? Maybe a little bit, but
Exactly.
I'm not pulled by it as such because I've got
Exactly.
my own mission. So yeah,
Exactly. Wow, great information, Luke. Once again, thank you. So, do you want to tell the audience about the exciting freebie that you're
yes,
gonna
I
give
do.
them?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, earlier this week I was doing some planning for next year, and I was building basically a very a very handy little checklist of all the things I'm double checking and making sure I've got right. So, things like, have I got my content pillars done and dusted? Have I got my profile? All these individual points, are they good to go? Are they ready? Are they clear? And I realized, actually, why not turn it into something that everyone else can have? So I've built this thing. It's, as I say, it's completely free. You can grab it. It's a Notion page. It's got, I think, 25 different points on it, just to make sure you've got. But alongside that, I've also just and you guys are the first to see it, so enjoy. But I'm also
Wow,
launching.
sneak peek, man. Are you
Oh yeah,
serious?
yeah,
You're releasing like it right now on this
yeah,
live.
yeah. Right up, yeah.
Wow, man. This Are you hearing this? He's releasing a brand new spanking checklist on this live only. So
Yeah.
amazing. I did include the link down below. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, along with that as well, on my mission at the beginning of this year to help as much as I can, I'm going to end it as I started it as well. So I've also introduced a mini strategy session as well. It's only a quick 15-20 minute session, but quick one-to-one, again, free of charge. Obviously, I've opened up my calendar for a lot of spaces.
Yeah,
So
again, guys, if you have really found this LinkedIn valuable, and if you appreciate Luke as a top creator here, um, please jump on it. It's only 20 minutes. It's just a pure value. He can help you out. If you relate, if you resonate with his story, um, please do yourself a favor and book that mini strategy session with him to move mountains in your business. So again, I will copy and paste it down below for anybody who wants to do that also.
thank you.
Okay. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. So just ending right now. So I know that we learned a lot, right, today, and wow, just like mind blowing. So if you had to like start over, I mean, it's a classic start over again question.
Yeah.
If you had to start over on LinkedIn and you only had a certain, well, of course, it's not about faster, but I would imagine that you'd go faster because certain tips and tricks and stuff like that. So if you had to restart from zero LinkedIn again on another account, so what would you do, and what strategy, what would you do first, what would you do second? Let's try that.
Uh, First thing I'd do is I would make friends with people, and I'd go into the comments and support people's posts, that posts that I like, posts that I learn from, and I'd go and give them some love and some support and reach out and say hello to them, and try and book as many calls as I can. Just get talking to people, It's surprising how nice people are. You could message almost anyone on LinkedIn and within reason and start a conversation now, which is great. So that's my very, very first point. Second point is I'd get my profile looking, like this landing page is really clear, really cool page about me and about how I can help. Just so that all that engagement I'm starting to do, if people go, this guy's not seen him before, who is he? There's a profile there that's really well optimized and ready to show all of that information. And then thirdly would be super clear on the content pillars, super clear on my personal stories, and just start sharing them. And share them in raw formats, share them in polished formats, just share them out with the world and just see what happens with it. And just build this thing of data of just, I've shared this post. Did it work? Yeah, great. Why? Did it? No. Great. Why? How can I use it again in future? And just build that strategy from the ground up, but make it the most human first strategy, as kind of as possible. Yeah. And re-emphasize it. Just make friends along the way.
Wow.
Everyone you meet can be a friend. Everyone you meet
Yeah.
can help you. Everyone you meet, you can help them, in some way or another. So just help as many people. We all help each other. We'll all grow together.
Wow, man. And what a message. What an impactful, deep message to end this marvelous live. Thank you, Luke. It was a pleasure to get to know you, and really looking
Thank
forward to
you.
collaborating with you in the future also.
Definitely.
And just love it, love it, love it, man. And what stands out about Luke, to me, is his humility, is his wanting to get to know, wanting to help people too. You know, like le- uh, like like it's just my feeling that a lot of, maybe some people don't know how much success you are having on LinkedIn right now, and you're having massive success behind the scenes. So, hard work, showing your brand voice, communicating through stories is always going to be the number one. So, thank you, Luke, for this
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you for the people who have joined. We are going to send out replays. And so, for the people who missed it, so thank you once again, Luke. We will chat with you later. Another great session of J&M Linky Live. That's kind of our brand name, me and Mark's brand name. So thank you very much, guys, and we shall see you later. Thank you, Luke.
Cool.
Bye
Cheers,
bye.
everyone. Bye bye.